Keir Starmer has been selling the British public a massive lie. He stood in front of the cameras, made big promises, and assured everyone that his government would finally take control and crack down on criminal gangs. He poured millions into flashy new initiatives, ramped up the tough talk, and expected everyone to believe that he had the situation under control. But now the truth is out, the numbers are in, and Starmer's big scam has just blown up in his face, spectacularly. What's happening right now exposes everything, the failure, the deception, and the complete lack of control. This is a disaster of his own making. Let's break it all down, but first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and join our fast-growing community. Just a quick one to say we have new Liber t-shirts available on our website. You can check the link in the description or go to BritishStand.com. More than 1,300 migrants have crossed the English Channel illegally in just the past 5 days, GB News has revealed. That's a staggering number, especially when you consider that the only thing keeping it from being even higher was the bad weather. Yes, after months of storms battering the channel, a break in the rough seas has led to an explosion in illegal crossings. And the numbers tell a devastating story for Keir Starmer and his so-called plan to smash the gangs. At least 180 migrants have arrived today alone. Yesterday, 326 more made it across in just 6 small boats. The day before, another 182. Sunday saw the biggest March arrival on record, an unbelievable 592 migrants in 11 boats. And yet, 8 months into Starmer's tough on crime leadership, there's no sign his approach is working. In fact, it's getting worse. Let's break it down. The numbers don't lie. Since January 1st, over 3,400 migrants have arrived via the channel. That's nearly 20% higher than this time last year. And 2024 itself was already a record-breaking year, with 36,816 crossings, a 25% increase on the year before. So what exactly has Keir Starmer done to tackle this crisis? Well, he's poured millions into the new Border Security Command and given extra resources to the National Crime Agency. And yes, there have been arrests of some suspected people smugglers in the UK and Europe. But has that stopped the boats? Has it even slowed them down? A maritime security source put it plainly, "It's as clear as the nose on your face. This policy of smashing the gangs just isn't working. We've had 8 months of a Labour government with a reported uptick in law enforcement activity, but we have not seen any kind of reduction in crossings. Just the opposite. The only thing controlling numbers in the channel is the weather. If it wasn't for the storms, we'd be looking at even higher numbers." This is where the scam of Starmer's approach is laid bare. He talks tough, he throws money at agencies, he announces new initiatives. But the reality is, none of it is working. The gangs are still fully operational, the crossings are higher than ever, and Labour's big smash the gangs gimmick has instantly blown up in their face. Meanwhile, the Home Office continues to insist they are doing everything they can, with a spokesperson saying, "We all want to end dangerous small boat crossings, which threaten lives and undermine our border security. The people smuggling gangs do not care if the vulnerable people they exploit live or die, as long as they pay. We will stop at nothing to dismantle their business models and bring them to justice." But here's the problem. We've heard it all before. This government, like the last, is caught in a cycle of empty promises and failed policies. While Starmer claims to be tough on illegal immigration, the reality is simple. His policies are failing, the crossings are rising, and the British people are being scammed. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments. In some other news, the push for net zero could see British households paying £900 more in energy bills by 2030, according to a report by Professor Gordon Hughes, a former World Bank energy advisor. His research warns that rising electricity costs, grid maintenance, and green subsidies will drive prices up, with businesses passing on these costs to consumers, potentially adding £1,800 per year to everyday expenses like food and travel. These findings challenge Labour's claim that net zero will cut bills by £300. Energy Secretary Ed Miliband remains confident, stating, Net zero will do great things for our country and our world. Last week, he doubled down on Labour's clean energy plans, calling them the single most important thing we can do. However, Hughes's research suggests energy costs will rise by at least 75%, making net zero far more expensive than Labour suggests. Instead of lowering bills, the transition to renewables is driving up costs. Andrew Montford of Net Zero Watch criticised Labour's approach, warning, Ed Miliband is running amok over the UK economy. For everybody's sake, Starmer needs to step in, fast. Hughes also disputes claims that fossil fuel prices are behind rising bills. He points to green taxes and subsidies, which now make up over 3/4 of household electricity costs. While Labour promises a clean energy future, Hughes warns that Britain will remain dependent on fossil fuels for years, with billions needed for backup gas power stations when renewables fall short. His model estimates that £150 billion will be required for wind and solar farms over the next 5 years, far exceeding official government estimates. The economic impact could be devastating, particularly for energy-intensive industries. Hughes warns that manufacturers struggling with high costs may be forced to cut wages or relocate abroad. A government spokesperson rejected Hughes's findings, blaming past governments for failing to invest in clean energy, which they say has left the UK vulnerable to volatile fossil fuel markets. They insist that net zero will eventually lower bills and create a more secure energy system. With energy prices set to soar, Miliband faces mounting pressure to justify Labour's green agenda. And lastly, Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick has criticised the government's new sentencing guidelines, accusing Labour of creating a two-tier justice system under two-tier Keir. The Sentencing Council has advised magistrates and judges to normally consider ordering a pre-sentence report if an offender comes from an ethnic minority, cultural minority, and/or faith minority community. Jenrick condemned the move, arguing it introduces bias into sentencing decisions. Clashing with Jenrick in the Commons, Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood rejected the accusation, insisting, "There will never be a two-tier sentencing approach under my watch or under this Labour government." Jenrick, however, remained firm in his criticism, calling the guidelines outrageous and ludicrous, and claiming they bias the system against straight white men. He argued that offenders are now less likely to receive a custodial sentence if they are women, trans, neurodiverse, or from a minority faith or ethnic background. He further accused Mahmood of either knowingly allowing the guidance or failing in her role. Frankly, the Justice Secretary should have known about this before, he said. She has a personal representative on the Sentencing Council and no objection was raised. Jenrick urged the government to intervene immediately, calling for a reversal of the policy. "I don't want a two-tier justice system. The rule of law means equality before the law, where everyone is treated the same regardless of race or religion. Shabana Mahmood must act now." So, what are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments. That brings us to the end of today's video. Hit the like and subscribe button for more British content. Oh, and don't forget to get your t-shirts at britishstand.com. Link is in the description.